Welcome everybody to UROC 365 webinar series to grow your business. Tonight's guest speaker is going to be Mr. Edward Skira, who's going to be talking to us about the future of Toronto real estate in 2020. And this interview is going to be hosted by Mr. Pat Javdan, broker of record. A little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please go to uroc365.com and post your questions. You can click on one of those buttons, the red, the black, or the blue button, whether it is with real estate or pre-construction or just real estate in general. Also, there are realtors, who want to get access to our webinar series regarding how to build your database. Or also, there was a very good webinar that we did last week about how to find buyers in this 2020 crisis. So make sure that you register on our website so that you can get access to these webinar series. I'd like to thank Mr. Pat Javdan, broker of record of United Realty of Canada, and Dr. Alexa Hunchin for your support and sponsorship of this channel and making these webinars possible and a success. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Douglas Gray, author of What the Financial Institutions Are Not Telling You. So if you need to get a copy of this book, please register on uroc365.com and we will make sure that you get a copy of this book. I'd like to talk a little bit about Mr. Edward Skira. And Mr. Edward Skira is the president and founder of Urban Toronto Canada. He co-founded this organization along with Nada Laskovsky and Edward Skira. Urban Toronto provides comprehensive updates on the real estate of construction projects and development projects here in Toronto. So Pat, right now, I'm going to give you the microphone so you can go ahead and start the interview with Mr. Edward Skira. Go ahead, Pat.
Thank you so much, Jerry, and welcome, Mr. Edward Skira, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, no problem. Great to be here.
Edward, some of our audience are new agents, and they don't know too much information about Urban Toronto. Is it possible to explain what Urban Toronto is, but what Urban Toronto is doing?
Okay, so Urban Toronto, we started off in 2002 as a discussion forum. So we would talk about what was coming up development-wise in the city. So we had this forum, and the forum is still very active. It's the engine of our site. We talk about every project that's happening in the city. We have a thread for each project, and anybody can join. It's free to join. You can sign up anonymously, and you can discuss projects. So what will happen is we will have a thread for each project. So it's one Bloor West, or it's something in Scarborough, and we will discuss everything from like when it first hits the city, when the applications first hit the city, sometimes before that, but certainly once they hit the city, we know about the project and we'll know, okay, they're applying for 30 stories. It's going to be Tridel, it'll be the Architects Alliance. And so then we will get renderings, we will get elevations, we will get all sorts of information. It'll be 300 units, it'll be, so forth and so forth. That all goes into the thread. People start discussing it. And then as the building goes through the process of getting approved, we will find out about this and we will talk about it in there. And then once construction starts, we have the forum, you can upload pictures. So all of a sudden, our forum members are submitting photos, updates, and we know about the projects, like, right now what's going on, which ones are operating, which ones are not working right now because of the virus. So we also have a news page. We do 5 to 7 stories a day, so updates on the projects. And then we have a database of about 1,700 projects in there going back to 2002. So each thread will have an attached project to it, and the project page for the project will have renderings, will have all the pertinent facts, who are the principals, who's building it, who's designing it, how tall it is, how many units, all that fun stuff. So that's what Urban Toronto does.
Thank you so much. So agent, they go on your website and register and log in, or how does it work exactly?
You don't have to log in or do anything, actually. You can come and read. But if you want to actually contribute to the discussion in the forum, you need to register. But you can use everybody uses fake names, aliases. Then it's not, you don't have to use your real name, and you don't have to use your real email. So it's very anonymous from that perspective. But yes, you can then contribute or not. We have about 200,000 unique visitors a month and about 2 million page views a month. So a very active discussion, a very active community. We have about 35% of our audience are involved in the business. So through our reader surveys. So they are anything from developers to architects to city planners to realtors and so forth. And so about 65,000 people on our site on a monthly basis work in the business one way or the other.
And your focus is mostly pre-construction?
We cover all construction. So our site is very much development oriented. So we follow every project. So is it an office building going up? Is it a new subway station? But because of all the development, most of it has been residential. Clearly, we know about all of it, and we are following all the resident. So if you wanna be able to figure out, you know, a lot of agents do come on our site because we get renderings early, and so our agents will come on our site and pull the renderings and then throw them on their sites. But if you want to know about projects from day one, early on, you should be coming to our site. We have a newsletter called New Development Insider that comes out every morning. That's a paid subscription for that, but that tells you about all the projects. So as soon as, like, we follow the City of Toronto Development website, so we know, you know, within a day of something being submitted to their website, and then we'll know, okay, X lawyer has submitted a plan for a 30-story building at wherever, Bathurst and Lawrence, and you know, we can find out pretty easily who the developer is. So as an agent, if you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood long before it goes to market, you should be on our site.
Perfect, perfect. Let's talk about this situation that we are in, this crisis that we are in. What is your overall view about this situation?
Clearly, Toronto was booming, has been booming for a long time. Because of the way the population is growing, people need places to live. Employment was very strong up until very recently. So what's going to happen here? So I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. But if it's a short-term issue, I don't think it will be that damaging. Even a longer term. I mean, with the population growing, unless the population stops growing for some reason, I think we're in good shape. But it's going to be painful for a while, for sure. I've lost a lot of clients have postponed working with us just in the last few weeks because they're all shutting down, closing their sales centers. I think people are scared. People are losing their jobs. So certainly in the short term, I don't know if sales are going to be that strong. You know, prices were going through the roof up until recently. You know, $1,000 a square foot, $1,500. I mean, those were pretty heavy numbers compared to even 5 years ago. The construction guys couldn't keep up. There's not enough construction workers to build everything that was being proposed. So this will slow things down. I think consumer sentiment is such that I suspect people will sit on the sideline for a while and try to preserve their money and sort of see what's going on. So I would think, you know, if you have money and you're not concerned about your job or whatever, you know, I think the developers, some of them, if they have to hold on to properties that they can't sell for a while, they might be a little more accommodating price-wise. So there might be some opportunities to buy right now.
You said there are some of your clients that stopped working with you right now. Could you explain a little bit more about that? There are builders, developers. Who are those?
Yeah. So you know, nobody's launching a new project right now. So we had developers that were ready to come to market, and they've stopped because They don't have sales centers that are open. It is really a crazy time to be trying to sell something. So they're just waiting. They're not going to market. They're not. I think the consumers, the purchasers, are kind of scared right now, and so yes, developers have definitely, ones that were about to launch. We had, signed contracts for marketing plans. They've postponed them. They haven't canceled. They're just waiting until there's a better time. They want to get people in the sales center. They want to. I mean, people are scrambling. Nobody, if they'd known that this was going to happen, maybe they would have figured out technology, other ways of doing it. But it kind of hit us all very abruptly. So, that's what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. You think if even the government says, okay, from tomorrow you can go out and everything is okay, you think everything goes back to normal right away, or you're gonna take time longer?
I definitely think it's going to take some time because people are scared, and things were going well for a long time, and all of a sudden you've lost your job, or you realize, oh, maybe my debt's a little too high. All sorts of issues that maybe you weren't thinking about before because everything was great. I think people are going to be more cautious, certainly for a little while. I don't, even just restarting factories and stuff would take, it's not going to happen, in 5 minutes. It's going to take weeks upon weeks to start things up that have shut down. So I think it's going to be a slow move up. If the government could tell us tomorrow that the virus is done and everything's great and we're back to normal, we're back to December, I think it'll pick up fairly quickly. But I suspect that this virus is going to be lingering for a while, and I think it's just going to leave a lot of uncertainty in the market.
Since the majority of our audience are realtors, do you have any suggestion, recommendation for realtors for these difficult times?
You know what? I'm having a hard time figuring out what I need to do. I think it's uncharted territory. I've cut back. I've had to put some projects on hold. I've launched a couple of things in the last, that were already being built, and they came out in the last month, and the uptake has been very slow. A lot of people are not working. A lot of my clients or potential clients have all cut back at the same time. So discretionary spending is being, it's not being done. And so I think I don't really know what to say other than watch your money, watch your spending, and but be prepared, because I suspect that once it does open up, the developers, some of them have a lot of money, and a lot of them, they're holding on to a lot of expensive real estate that they need to sell. They've got interest rates, and developers, they don't go to the Scotiabank or something and, get a 2% loan or 3% loan. Most of their financing is very high interest. It's, mezzanine financing. They bought the land, 30, 40, $50 million. They're paying 10, 15, 20% interest. So they can't sit on this forever. They want to get that land developed and the money back in their pockets. And so I think that they're going to jump at coming back into the marketplace as soon as they can. So maybe this is the time to just work your contacts and just work and find out, who's got what, and be ready for when they're ready, that you can be there.
What's your final thoughts about the situation, and what's your recommend about this situation, if you like?
Like I said, I suspect that it's going to be a slow comeback. I suspect that we're going to be shut down for a while. Certainly even at home. I got 2 kids. I'm pretty sure the school year is done. I'd be shocked if they went back. So I think hunker down and, figure out, what is still happening, and try to work with that. But I suspect it's going to be tight for a while.
I'm going to ask Jerry if any of audience realtors have any question at this point, because we have only 30 minutes. So Jerry, is there any question from audience?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. Let me
Sure.
just check. Just hold on, I'm just checking.
Yeah, okay.
One of the questions from one of the realtors is for Mr. Edward. Where do you get your information for your website, and how often is it updated?
Okay, so it's updated every day. It's updated all the time. Where does the information come from? So we have a forum. We have many thousands of members in the forum. They will post information in there. Sometimes it's photos. Sometimes it's I heard that something is coming over here. So sometimes it's not fully developed information yet, but we read the forum very actively. We also take that information, and then we work with the developers very closely, so we will verify the information. We do editorial 5 days a week on the front of our site, the news page. So we do somewhere in the range of 20 to 30, well, closer to 30 pieces a week that are, my editors go in and they find out what's going on. We also closely follow the City of Toronto Development website, so we know every time an application gets added to that site, we will know within 4 to 6 hours that the information's been added, and we will go through the documents and we will go, okay, it says, they're applying for 28 and it's 500 units and it's tried out. So we can verify very easily through the City of Toronto, through our contacts at the developers and the PR people, and then through our audience, they throw us stuff that maybe hasn't shown up yet that we can then follow up with.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you, Edward. Another question I have from another one of the realtors, they want to know is that what is the benefit of the paid subscription and how much is it?
Okay, so we have a newsletter. It's called New Development Insider. It comes out every morning at 7 a.m. And what it basically does is we look at the City of Toronto website and we look at other regulatory bodies, LPAT and so forth, and we will compile all the information from the day before of what's happening. So 4 new applications hit the city website. We heard about the LPAT ruling or city council ruling or things like that. And that it'll be a summary for you every morning. It's $99 a month or $999 a year. And it'll give you the information without you having to spend your time looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. The other question is that who are the types of people looking at information on your website, the majority?
Okay, so as I indicated earlier, about 35% of the people on our site are in the business. So developers, suppliers, planners, architects. So people who are wanting to know what's going on because it's their job, realtors, a lot of realtors on our site. Also, people who want to see what people are saying about their projects, because we have the other 65% of our audience are people who live in the area, are interested in architecture, are interested in development. They're interested in what's going to happen on the corner, what's being planned for that corner. So they use it as a focus group. They use it as a way of testing to see what's going on. So it's a very, and then there are, again, realtors who are just coming on board to go, okay, I want to know what projects are coming to a certain neighborhood that I work in. And this way I can keep in touch and I know what's going on. So it's a very strong resource.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you, Edward. What about, there's one more question, is that does Urban Toronto cover all of GTA?
Yes, we do. So we just actually launched something today called Growth to Watch For. And if you go to our site, there's a story on there on the front page. It's urbantoronto.ca for those of you who don't know. It's a series of 25 reports that cover various areas of the city. So right now, we're going to launch the first one on Wednesday. It will be covering the entertainment district, and the report covers all the projects that are happening in the entertainment district down, Adelaide, John Street, that area. So there are 25 reports that 21 of them are Toronto proper. And last year we did 4 additional reports covering Oakville, Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, and then Durham, Pickering out there. So we do cover everything in the GTA. We sometimes will reach as far as Hamilton, but generally it's Oakville to Oshawa to, Richmond Hill, Aurora, essentially. Newmarket, we actually have done some work in Newmarket too.
I have still another 2 more questions for you. Who are the 3 biggest developers that work with your website extensively?
We have probably 40 or 50 developer clients, but Tridel, Daniels, Plaza Corp, and all the way to little guys, Garlock, and ones that have one-off projects. And Tridel's probably got 6 or 7 projects happening right now that are actively being constructed, let alone so it runs the gamut.
Right. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I have one more last question, and I think this one is a little bit of a funny one. With the price of oil at $15 a barrel, which is the lowest in the 21 years, are you scared?
Okay, so it's not even $15 today. It went to negative.
Negative,
So they're paying you to buy oil. It's crazy. Now, am I scared that oil prices are low? No, we live in Ontario. I mean, in Alberta, I get it. But here, I don't drive much. I never drove much before because I walk to work and stuff. But, I was shocked to see it at 78 cents or whatever it was a couple of days ago when I did go out and drive and refill the tank. No, I mean, I think for Ontario and Toronto, low oil prices are great for us. Saskatchewan and Alberta, they're the ones that are going to feel it really badly. But so no, I'm not scared about it. But I mean, it is impacting clearly the stock market, which is certainly in the U.S. The stock market went down a lot today because oil prices went from whatever it was 20 to minus 15. I mean, minus 15. Think about that. And they've got like these super tankers sitting in the ocean just full of oil that they can't do anything with. They're not even bringing them to market. They're leaving them out there as storage facilities. So anyways, no, I'm not scared about oil prices.
I don't have any more questions. Thank you very much, Edward. Pat, I'm going to give back to you.
Yeah, I got one more question for Edward. Edward, you said that realtors, they can go on your website and they can take those rendering and everything is okay?
Well, I didn't say they can take them, but they do, is what I said.
Oh, they do.
I don't own the renderings. The renderings are, the developers create them for their projects. But when they submit them to the city, they're fair game for us to take them and put them on our website. But what we find is sometimes, you'll go to, and you'll see that the renderings are all over the place because even before the developer might have registered a URL, the brokers are lining up to get a URL that's close to it. But I mean, the images are there. I'm not going to stop anybody. It is what it is. I don't own them, like I said. But like we have a lot of photography on our site, and it's a lot of construction updates because I don't think the brokers would care about. But those are generally, the copyrights are owned by the photographers, so they might be upset if people take them. But the renderings, I think, are fair game.
Okay, thank you so much. Jerry, do you have any comments or?
Yes, there's one more question from one of the realtors, Moeen. He wants to know which builder is rated the highest with Urban Toronto.
Ooh, okay. So I don't think I can give you one specific answer. See, Urban Toronto has a sort of a dual mandate. We cover a lot of construction, but we also have a lot of architecture fans on our site. And, there are big developers that put out stuff that isn't that great. It's certainly not from a design perspective. There's a bunch of developers. I shouldn't pick. It's like picking which is my favorite child. I mean, I can't really do that. And they're clients of mine, so you can't say anything. But you know what? There's plenty of really good developers out there, and just look at their track records. They're ones that have been around for 30, 40, 50 years that are putting up projects consistently, and they do a great job. And they have you can tell even from the purchasers who gravitate to certain developers because they know how to build quality buildings. And the way the market has certainly been in the last few years, there's not enough construction workers, so there's some shoddy work. But some of the developers will really make sure that it doesn't get shoddy because they're working fast, and things slip through the cracks. So I can't tell you a specific one, but I think for the most part our developers are pretty good, and they're building like crazy, and they're fulfilling. They're getting houses in for people, so that's great.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pat. I don't have any more questions.
Yeah. Okay. I got an announcement for next week. We're going to have a president of the Toronto Real Estate Board will be with us. I'm not sure Monday or Wednesday. I'm talking to him. I'm going to let everybody know later. And any announcement for our future video webinars, Jerry?
Well, the only important thing is that I want everybody to know that, we are going to be starting to do webinars related to building skills, related to lead generation, building the database, or how to use video marketing to grow your audience. And, so we are going to keep you posted. If you have registered on urock365.com, you will get notified. And most of these webinars are done privately. It's not open to the public. So it's only for the realtors that have subscribed to our system will get access to these recordings. Go ahead, Pat.
That's it. Just I wanted to thank you, and also thank Edward for coming tonight. It was very good interview. I hope we can see you again.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it, and we'll look forward to meeting with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.